Alrighty, we are in, and I'm gonna be honest with you. We could go for a month today. We could be here for forever.
Of course, today's the one day that I'm like, okay, let's get this done. I got stuff to do.
I'll be prompt with it, but we're doing fitness myths, and so I had to kind of like. Obviously, I'm prepared with a list of them, but
love this.
You could absolutely see a world in which Jeff gets fired up and we end up in a place that maybe we don't necessarily want to be.
I am buckling in.
Yeah, buckle in.
So excited.
And shout out any that you have, Amy, too, that you want us to dig into.
Sure.
Or even things if you're like, I don't know if this is true or not. Secondly, we went right from neurovirus into colds, so I'm fighting a cold right now. So that's what's going on. If you see the tissue,
cool.
Just so fun.
This winter, man, it's been crushing people.
Yes, brutal. And I wanted to do like a little. I'll say it because I'll be quick about it. Shout out to my dad who retires today.
Congratulations.
I posted a post for him.
It was very
on my
sweet.
social media. I think it's the second best thing I've ever written.
It was very sweet. What did he do?
My dad did a lot of stuff. He was a logistics manager, like purchasing and receiving. That was kind of the biggest sort of things that he did for most of his career. But he did a lot of different stuff.
Cool.
Throughout his career, as I kind of shared. But if you want to go look at it, it's from the picture of me, my dad, and my brother with my 3 kids on our shoulders. If you look back, whenever this is posted, it's probably 7-8 posts in, because this will be posted 2 weeks from now. But yeah, just shout out to my dad. Yeah, second best thing that I've written, behind the thing that I did for Father's Day like 2 years ago. That's still the best thing I've written. All right, we're going to dive in. I had a logical order to these, but we may skip around a little bit. But I tried to like put them in an order that made sense, at least related topics wise.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of bookend with nutrition.
Okay.
So we'll go nutrition, training, middle, and then nutrition back on the back end. Was kind of how I did it. So first thing, and I'll say this from the jump, and then I'll say it again at the end, because these are a lot of things that people try to do to make fitness and nutrition complicated. And the reason why I do this is because it's very easy to be an alarmist on the internet, because alarm gets attention, and to take something that people think is good for them and say that it's bad for them, or take something people think is bad for them and say it's actually good for them, gets attention. And attention is the currency of the realm right now. And if I say that you have a problem that you didn't know was a problem, and I have the only solution for it, then people are going to be, and I use enough fear and fancy sounding words, I can make it out to be that you need to pay me a lot of money to solve that problem. And so that's why people do it. If everybody's like, why do people do this? It's to make money.
To make a living.
To make money. And people are very convincing. So even I have clients of mine who will be like, hey, I was listening to a podcast with Gary Brecka. Gary Brecka is one of the top 5 most Looney Tune people on the internet. And I'm going to call these people out. Like, if they continue to say dumb things that'll hurt people, I'm going to call these people out.
Good.
Paul Saladino is another one of them. Different from Don Saladino, who I know and like a lot. Paul Saladino. Other names will come up, but those are kind of the Liver King, those types of people. Looney Tunes. All right, let's dig in. First thing, and I'm going to do some of this with, a lot of these are weight loss myths, but not all of them are. So understand that that's part of it, right? First thing is, last thing that I say before the first thing. The reason why I said that was people try to make it complicated. I want to try to make it really simple for you. So I'm going to say the same thing a lot of times. I put together everything that you need to know about weight loss, and I put it all in one page. That's how simple it is. It's on one page. There's no anything else. One page. So if you want that, just send me a DM that says cheat sheet and I'll send it to you. Okay. So, and I'll say that again at the end. Here we go. Eating after a certain hour at night means that you will store that food as body fat, particularly around your middle.
We've all been told that.
This one's particularly funny because it's really not very far away from you're a gremlin. Like, don't
feed them after
midnight.
Don't get them wet.
Like, don't get them wet. Like, don't feed them after midnight. Like, you're not a gremlin. You're a human. And if you...
That's debatable in some of our cases.
Yes. Most of these myths are, if you apply logic, this doesn't make sense, but it sounds like a simple solution. The reason why not eating after 8 p.m. typically helps people is because there's not a lot of great nutritional decisions being made after 8 p.m.
Yeah, you're not cooking a chicken breast at 9:30 at night.
Not typically happening. And so what ends up happening is we tend to overeat easy calories.
Yeah.
And so that's why we end up storing body fat, is not because we ate after 8 p.m. It's that we ate an entire sleeve of Oreos after 8 p.m. If you ate that entire sleeve of Oreos at 7:55, it would still be stored as fat. Like the idea that all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's 8:01, I can't eat anymore. That's silly. Yeah. Now, putting a boundary on when you stop eating is helpful, because if I don't eat after 8 p.m., I'm probably not going to make those poor decisions. It's like the old phrase, nothing good ever happens after midnight. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a lot of great decision making happening at that point in your life. Yeah. So there's not a lot of good nutritional decision making happening after 8 p.m. From if you live on a normal schedule. Like if you live in New York City, then I can't help you, right? But if you're on a normal human schedule, right, like just eat your dinner and just be done after dinner. You know what I mean? Or if you have an evening snack, just like plan it. But like generally speaking, we tend not to make a lot of great decisions at that point. And the other reason then it's helpful is your sleep might be impacted if you eat late at night, because your body is digesting more at night, which is going to impact your sleep, particularly if you, again, eat the types of things that you tend to eat late at night. Like, oh, I had nachos at 10:30. Your stomach's not going to love that. I'm just going to be honest with you. It's not going to love that. And so you're going to have garbage sleep. And what happens when you have garbage sleep? You make poor decisions the next day because you're tired. So it's helpful to not eat a little bit late at night, but you absolutely can. I regularly have a snack about 8:30 at night. That's
what do you have? What's your go-to?
It depends on what phase I'm in, like what my goal is. So like when I'm in a fat loss phase, it's usually fruit, or, which we'll talk about later, or like air popped popcorn, because those tend to be not a lot of calories.
I have a really nice air popper that someone really nice gave to us.
That was an all-time moment.
For real.
It was me.
I think of you every time I make popcorn. I'm like, oh, Jeff.
But so that's usually one. I'll do, if I'm like in maintenance, I'll eat the Halo Top ice cream.
Oh yeah.
Which is just lower calorie, because
it's not bad.
No, it actually is quite good. So like most low calorie versions of stuff tastes not good. And let's be honest, Halo Top is not Ben and Jerry's, but I'm not but it's good. Yeah. But also, like, for me, I want to be able to eat ice cream. Like, if I take out a pint of ice cream, the idea that I'm going to put half a pint of Ben and Jerry's back in the fridge is folly. Like, it's not happening. It's for the same logic of the Oreos. You know, like it's a gateway for me. And so
I could do 3 bites of ice cream and be done for a week.
Yeah. See, that's
no.
And I like ice cream. It's not my favorite thing, but like I don't have a stop button. So I'm going to eat it till it's gone. It doesn't really matter how much it is. Like when I was in college, I didn't really love ice cream, and we went and did an ice cream challenge at a place in Concord. It was like it was 6 scoops of ice cream, 2 bananas. Like it was an exhaustive. And I ate until it was gone, and then I threw up.
Yeah, because you did. That much dairy should not be in one person at one time.
No, and we've already had the dairy, whatever. But like I don't have a stop mechanism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it comes to most of this stuff. And so the nice thing about Halo Top is I can eat the entire thing for 350, 380 calories. It's like chocolate caramel brownie.
Oh, that's a real good one.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
If I'm in a muscle building phase and I want a little bit extra calories, I'll have a bowl of cereal. That tends to be what I.
But your cereal still isn't like what most people would eat as cereal.
No, so like I'll eat like grape nut flakes or something like that with.
All right,
with
are
some
you also an
blueberries in it.
85-year-old woman? Because grape nuts is my favorite, and everyone makes fun of me.
I grew up with it. So like my dad used to eat grape nuts every single morning, grape nuts and raisins, and so
I do grape nuts and grapes.
Yeah, so it was grape nuts and raisins or grape nuts and blueberries is what I grew up with. The crunch is a little bit like I like the grape nut flakes. It's a little bit like Wheaties, so I'll do that with blueberries. Because again, if I were to go all the way to what I really want to have, which would be like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I wouldn't stop at one bowl. Like I would have the entire box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, because that's not your stomach telling you you're hungry. No, that's your taste buds and your mind telling you I need more.
Yes. So I tend to do it. Again, it's not. It's helpful to have boundaries around your eating, but it's helpful to have boundaries in almost everything that you do. And so the reason why not eating after 8 p.m. works is because you end up eating less food, which puts you in a calorie deficit. That is going to be said 14 times today, just so you know. Meal frequency, right? You need to eat 5, every couple of hours was a very popular one. 15, every 2 hours you need to eat. Yeah. Then it was the 3 meals. Then it's intermittent fasting. Then it's, you know what I mean? And it hops around. And we'll talk about fasting a little bit. But none of it matters, right? The idea behind hey, I got to eat frequency so my metabolism is jump-started is, again, if we think about this logically, your body is not going, Amy ate food. I need to get rid of it as fast as I can so that when Amy gives me more food, I have room for it. That's not how your body operates.
God, wouldn't it be great?
No, your body operates on I'm going to hold on to the food until Amy eats again, and then I'll make room for it. So because your body doesn't know when you're going to eat again. Yep. Your body doesn't know that you set a timer to eat in 2 hours. It doesn't know. Your body's just like, I'm going to hold on to this until I absolutely need it. That's what it's going to do. So there is no logic to that. There's also no logic to, and we're going to kind of we're jumping into this right now, actually, because it's kind of linked to this. Intermittent fasting is not the magical fat loss solution. It could work, but it works for the same reason not eating after 8 p.m. works.
Yeah, you're cutting out a meal. You're cutting out calories.
You're going to eat less food because what do most people eat for breakfast? It's not actually something with protein in it or good. It's a bowl of cereal or it's a Pop-Tart or it's a bagel with cream cheese on it. So it's not just cutting out calories. It's probably cutting out calories that don't necessarily fill you up. And so then you're hungry for lunch. Right. And so you're not magically burning. Right. So the linked with this is like fasted cardio is better than regular cardio, which means
just not eating before you work out.
Not eating before you do your cardio. So like, hey, I'm going to wake up and I got to do my cardio before I eat. So then I'm burning fat.
I mean, I do that, but not intentional. It is intentional because
can do that.
If I exercise the type of cardio I do after I have eaten, it is not staying in my stomach. It is coming right back up. So
you can. Yeah, if it feels better,
it does.
Don't eat before you work out. That's fine. But you're not magically going to, because the logic is, hey, you're burning fat because you don't have any food in your system. First of all, you still have food in your system.
Yeah, it's always there.
It's always there. But secondly, even if we were tapping into fat stores for energy during that workout, let's say that you burn through all of the energy that you ate from the day before, which not super likely, but let's just pretend that we do, and we get into burning our fat stores. You know what happens if you eat like a jagaloon later in the day? You just fill them back up. Jagaloon?
Is that a term you made up among Google?
I don't think I made it up. But I don't know where I heard it. I've said it for a long time.
Is it Jag, like a G or a CK?
I think it's JAGALOON.
Oh my gosh, it came right up.
I don't think I made it up.
Oh, well, it's also an instrumental surf rock band from Albany, New York, are the
There you go.
Jagaloons.
Jagaloons.
There you go. Oh no, a person, preferably a man who is socially awkward.
I use it as like a dummy.
Oh.
That's how I use it.
Usually has a deep in thought look on their face, even though this person rarely thinks.
That's all time.
That's my new favorite word. I'm gonna call John a Jagaloon because y'all know he does not listen to this podcast,
No.
so he will not know I'm making fun of him.
I've probably called John a Jagaloon to his face before.
Well, it's probably justified.
Yeah, it was probably justified. Yes. Send me a message if you've heard the word Jagaloon before, because I don't think that this is a new thing. So yes, there's a difference between burning fat and losing fat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can burn fat all the live long day. That's the logic of intermittent fasting, is like all morning I'm using my fat stores and I'm burning fat because I don't have any fuel in my body. Yes, but if you eat the same amount after that, you're just going to replenish the fat stores.
Right.
Your body wants to be at equilibrium.
Yeah.
You want to know why intermittent fasting works? Puts you in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
You end up eating less food. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Now, if you don't like breakfast, or you're not super hungry in the morning, or you like the idea of intermittent fasting, by all means, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's not magic.
No.
If you like eating every couple of hours, eat every couple of hours. I personally am hungry all the time. It does not matter how I am hungry 45 minutes after Thanksgiving dinner. It does not matter. It doesn't matter. I'm hungry always.
Yeah.
Always. Like, there are very few times where I can get myself to the point of like, I'm full. And so for me, I eat every 2.5, 3 hours. But that's just because the idea, like, there is no amount of food that I could eat for breakfast that would keep me full from 5 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock or noon. There is no amount of food that I could eat. And so I generally have something. I eat at 5, I eat at 8, I eat at 11, I eat at 2, I eat at 5. That's just generally how and then I eat again at 8. And that's just kind of how my rhythm from my life goes. Doesn't have to be that for you. Most people, I would recommend
2 eggs and a banana, and I'm full till noon.
Yeah. Most people, I would recommend trying to eat 3 meals a day. That's what most people probably ought to do. But you can try a bunch of different stuff and see what sticks.
Yep.
All right. But there's nothing magical about burning your fat stores as fuel for your exercise or your workouts if you're not in a calorie deficit. Nothing magical about it. So, linking into that, if you are not losing weight, you're not in a calorie deficit.
Right. That's the only way.
You cannot tell me that you're eating 1,200 calories or 1,000 calories a day and you're not losing weight. Because what I'm going to say is, no, you're not. And it's not because you're a bad person. It's not because you're lying to me. It's not because you're doing it on purpose. It's not because there's anything wrong with you. It just means that you're not actually eating what you think that you're eating. Because the laws of thermodynamics tell us that govern the universe, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, which means that if you eat the same amount if you're not losing weight, if energy is not coming out of your body, that means that you are replenishing it at the same rate. And so what probably happens is that you track 1,000 calories or 1,200 calories for 3, 4, 5 days. Maybe you miss a few things or you mistrack some things, not on purpose. I'm not saying that you're doing it on purpose, but you forget that you had, I had a bite of my kids' leftover food and I had a lick of this and I put 2 tablespoons of peanut butter on my thing and then I licked the rest of it off the spoon and I didn't track the amount that I took off the spoon. Or I went out to eat and I ballpark tracked
That's what it
what
is.
they did at the restaurant, and I said, "Oh, I just got a chicken breast and some potatoes, and I didn't count the 900 calories of butter that they used to make it." And then
For me, it's
and
always
then yeah,
eyeballing my measurements. So like when I
yeah,
start, I'm very good about this is a half a cup of blah blah blah. This is a cup of this. And then
yep,
after I'm like, I can tell what's a cup. I can tell what's half a cup. And I'm wildly off. So it's nice as a refresher every once in a while to re-measure
yeah.
and see what it really is supposed to be.
No,
So when I was growing up, we were always told, I don't know if this is part of what you're going to say, but like, if you're not losing weight and you're only eating 1,000 calories, it's because your body is holding on to it because it's
so
afraid
that's
it's
the
not
next
going to get
yeah.
its next
So
meal.
that's the related thing, right? So that's
Yeah.
the same logic of it's like the opposite logic of
Yeah.
the metabolism frequency thing
Mm-hmm.
is that your body goes into starvation mode.
Yes.
Which is the silliest of the myths. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you right now, this is the silliest of the myths.
But it's the most pervasive, at least in my age group. That's what we were all told.
100%. But this is why it's silly. And it's like, it's almost like it's borderline offensive, right? Like, because if you think about this, how? All right. I'm going to take a second because I don't want to get mad at people for believing this. But
it's not about getting mad at them. It's just a matter of re-educating.
This is like Western privilege at its worst, right? Western civilization privilege at its worst. But you're going to look at somebody who's actually starving, like doesn't have enough food.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to tell me that because you're not eating enough, you're gaining weight?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you saw somebody who was actually not eating enough, you would see that they're losing weight to the point that they die.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, it's just not logical. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like the cocoon that we live in that we think that could possibly be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not. What's happening, this is what starvation mode actually is. You're hungry because you're only eating 1,000 calories.
Mm-hmm.
And so that what ends up happening is you eat 1,000 calories Monday through Thursday, and then you're really, really hungry on Friday, and then you eat an extra 2,000 calories after 8 p.m. because you make bad decisions after 8 p.m. And then you say, oh, I ruined it. And then you say, screw it over the weekend, and you get back to it on Monday. But on Saturday and Sunday, you eat 4,000 calories, and you undo everything you did Monday through Thursday, and you say, I'm not losing weight and I'm eating 1,000 calories, because every day that you actually track, you're eating 1,000 calories. But you're not tracking the other days when you're not doing it, or you're artificially fudging the numbers to be like, oh, if I say that I ate 2/3 of a cup instead of a half a cup, then I end up at my calorie dose. And it's because you want to feel better about it. But the reality is, feeling better doesn't change the fact that you're not in a deficit.
I love Fired Up Jeff so much. That's my favorite. Oh, I wish people could see you.
You have to just be honest with yourself. And it doesn't make you a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, you're not malicious with it, but like, you're not eating 1,000 calories a day. You're just not.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you confront the reality that you're not doing what you think that you're doing, and then you become a detective and you try to figure out why or where it's coming from, then you can solve the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But assessment precedes awareness, and awareness precedes change. Okay? You have to bring awareness to what it is that you're doing. And if you're not authentically tracking the stuff, and I'm not saying that everybody needs to track, you don't, but you can't tell me that you are, because that's the worst of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The worst of it is you're tracking it not correctly, and you think that you're doing it right, and you should be seeing the results that you're looking for. And you're not, because that's what happens. So The reason why people feel like, hey, starvation mode is a problem, and I will tell you that eating too few calories is a reason why people don't lose weight. It's not because their body holds on to weight. It's because they can't stick with it long enough, and they overeat and rebound because they're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
The goal should be to eat as much food as you possibly can while remaining in a deficit.
So eat those, not calorie, volume, low calorie, high volume.
Yeah, calorically,
I can't think of the phrase.
No, now you're making me have a brain
I know,
fart
I'm
about
sorry.
it.
I passed it on.
High food, not a lot of calorically dense foods, right? Calorically
like,
dense
it's not
foods.
calorie dense. It's the opposite of that.
Calorically dense foods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are foods that are, hey, you have a lot of calories and they don't really fill you up.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So,
like bowl of Doritos, delicious.
And you're hungry immediately afterward.
And you're hungry while you're eating them.
I've said this, but like I could eat an entire sleeve of Oreos and forget that I ate them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's why like try to eat more food that keeps you full for longer to help you stay in your deficit. But no, you are not eating 1,200 calories and gaining weight. You're just not doing it. All right, slight transition. We touched on this with the fasted cardio, but want to recycle back into cardio for a moment. Similar to like the timing of stuff, right? Doing cardio. If I'm going to do weightlifting and cardio, I should do cardio. I shouldn't do cardio before lifting weights. That's a myth. Because now, are there benefits and drawbacks to both? For sure.
Sure.
Right? If I do my cardio before my weight training, I might be slightly fatigued for my weight training, which is fine. Right? Because your body doesn't know what the number on the side of the dumbbell is. It doesn't know.
It can't read.
It can't read. It's just like your body doesn't know when you're eating next and that you set an alarm for it. It doesn't know. It just knows this is hard or this is not hard. And so this is why I train, and this is like people are like, this maddens fitness people, right? And this is a niche thing, but this maddens fitness people. I train my heaviest exercise in my training probably halfway to 2/3 of the way through my workout, which is not how most people would tell you to do it. Most people would say you do your biggest, heaviest lifts at the beginning. And there is absolute logic to that because I will be able to push more weight at the very beginning because I have not fatigued my body. But if my goal is not to push as much weight as I can, then maybe I don't put it at the beginning. And my goal right now, I don't care how much weight I push. I could care less how much weight is on the bar. As a matter of fact, I want to push less weight because I don't want the tax on my body. I don't want the risk on my body. At this stage of my life, do you know how much, like if I came in clean, and this is not to try to sound egotistical, but if I came in clean, very beginning of a workout, and I said, all right, I'm going to do a set of 3 to 5 barbell back squats. Do you know how much weight I would have to put on that bar for that to be hard?
No, I don't know that I want to know because I'm picturing my number and it would be a little lower than yours.
It would be over 400 pounds.
And is that the one that I see people, I don't do them at the gym.
The bar is across your shoulders behind your back and then squat down to like below parallel. It would be over 400 pounds. I have negative desire to put 400 pounds on my back.
God, my knees would explode.
Whether, like, for me, it's just, I would be able to do it. But the idea that, like, the risk reward is just not there for me right now. I have little kids, and all it takes with 400 pounds on your back is just a slight, oh, I lost my balance, or whatever it is, and I have a real problem on my hands. And now, if I was competing at powerlifting or whatever it is, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's a ton of benefits to squatting super duper heavy.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. For me, right now, risk reward, not worth it. And so I do it later in my workout, because if I have done, before doing my squats, I've done, let's just say I did hamstring curls, and then I did single leg deadlifts, and then I did heavy Bulgarian split squats. How much do you think that I need to put on my back and squat 10, like if I was going to do 10 reps now instead of 5, right? I'm going to do that, and I do a heavy Bulgarian split squats with a couple of 100 pounds that I'm holding, but on one leg, and I'm holding them down and not on my back. Well, then by the time I've done all that, it's like, dang, 200 pounds feels really heavy. And my body doesn't know that it's 200 pounds and not 400 pounds.
Right.
My body's just like, dang, dude, this is hard. And I go, suck it up, body. We got 2 more reps to go.
Suck it up, buttercup.
We got things to do here. And I push to that like relatively difficult level. That would be like comparing a great day. Hey, I had fantastic sleep. My nutrition was great. I'm coming in with all kinds of energy, which happens like once out of every 10 workouts when everything's moving great. And I compare that to like what it would feel like to work out today when I'm sick and my kids were up at 4 a.m. and all of the things that have been going on. I'm going to be honest with you. I probably, what would feel easy 2 weeks ago, going to feel real hard today. Like we're not doing personal records today, but I can do a 10 out of 10 effort based on what I got today.
Right.
And so the goal is not always to move the most amount of weight possible. If you are training to do powerlifting, which is really the only scenario in which moving the most amount of objective weight possible is the goal, then yeah, don't do cardio beforehand. Don't do cardio beforehand, because you're going to be tired and you're not going to be able to lift as much weight as you could. Now, if my goal is to try to push myself more with my weight training and try to get a little bit heavier and things like that, yeah, maybe do cardio at the end. But you know what nobody wants to do after they do a weightlifting workout? Freaking cardio.
Run around on the treadmill.
Nobody wants to do cardio after you've done the workout. And so if you're in the mindset of like, hey, I should probably do some cardio, not for fat loss, because remember, cardio is inefficient for fat loss. It's effective, but not efficient. It's not the best use of your time when it comes to fat loss. But you want to do it for your health, and you're like, hey, I should probably be doing cardio so I don't die early. Maybe do it at the beginning and do the thing that you don't want to do at the beginning of the day, and then do your weight training later in the day. But you can also do it after. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's relative difficulty, because what's going to happen for the cardio after I've done the weight training? I'm probably not going to be able to push the cardio as hard, right? So if I was training for a 10K or a marathon or something like that, maybe I should do the cardio at the beginning, because that's the primary goal. Logic. All right. We're doing okay on time.
I'm really liking this, by the way.
Because Jeff just gets feisty the whole time.
Which is my favorite version of Jeff.
All right. We'll stay with cardio, then we'll go to lifting.
Ready.
HIIT cardio, high intensity interval training cardio, is the most effective or best for fat loss.
Okay.
No, it's not. Can it be effective? 100% it can be. 100% it can be. But the idea, the folly that we get into is, and this is that I've kind of bought into a little bit, where people exaggerate the post-exercise oxygen consumption, right? Is the phrase of it. So it's POC, which is, if I work out really hard, you've ever done this, and you're still breathing hard and your heart rate is up and you're still sweating 5-10 minutes after the workout, right? Coming down off of it. The higher intensity the exercise is, the more after the exercise your body is going to need to recover, right? If I go for a walk and then I stop walking, I probably am breathing normally immediately. If I sprint for 5-10 seconds, it probably takes me 30 to 45 for my breath to get back down to normal, right? Now, That doesn't mean that one is more effective than the other, right? But if I sprint for 10 seconds, right, I'm more output. I burn maybe more calories in that 10 seconds than I would if I ran at a jogging pace for 10 seconds, right? That makes sense because I'm working harder.
Yep.
But then I still run at this jogging pace. I'm going to burn a little bit more calories than I will. I'm still burning calories after my sprint, right? As my heart rate's coming down, but that's going to diminish, and they're probably going to end up a little bit at a wash. Maybe you get a touch more from the HIIT cardio, the high intensity cardio, than you do from the jogging, but it is marginal at best. It is marginal at best. So is it valuable? 100%. And listen to the one about cardio when we talk about HIIT cardio and the different types of things and why we do heart rate and things like that. And there's different heart rate things that do different things for our heart, right? And there's value in doing high intensity work, whether it is in the form of lifting, whether it's in the form of mid-range or really high intensity cardio. But most people also do HIIT wrong. And I'm going to be honest with you. Any class at a gym called HIIT is not actually HIIT. It doesn't mean that it's not a good workout, but it's not high intensity interval training because you can't do high intensity interval training for an hour.
Right. What do we call it? HIIT, high energy athletic training.
Well, so HIIT was, high energy athletic training, but it was the idea. The class was structured 30 seconds on, 15 seconds off, and you do that for 12 minutes. Then you rest for 90 seconds and then you do it again. That's not true high intensity training, because true high intensity training is like a sprint. It's maximum effort and then your heart rate comes down. That does not mean that doing that style, HIIT style training, 30 on, 15 off, is not good training, right? Get your heart rate elevated, but that's closer to cardio with weights, and you're probably living in the interim between zone 2 and zone 4 or zone 5. And they all have benefits. They all have benefits. But to say that it's better or you're missing out if you're not doing it, or like, oh, the key to fat loss is sprinting. No, it's not. Is sprinting valuable for fat loss? For sure. Because I could do a 10-minute sprinting workout and probably burn the same amount of calories as I would for a 15-minute run or a 20-minute run. But that doesn't mean that it's significantly better. It just might be a little bit more efficient. But again, we're talking about marginal stuff here. So is it necessary? Absolutely not. Is it valuable? Sure, it's valuable. Just like cardio is valuable for fat loss. Doesn't mean that it's the best use of your time when it comes to fat loss, but it is valuable for it. 100%.
No, is that what CrossFit is? Is CrossFit? I've never been to a CrossFit gym, so I'm speaking from just hearing people talk about CrossFit. Is
CrossFit might have a HIIT component to it. It depends on the box, but they'll also do Olympic lifting oftentimes. They'll do heavy.
Oh, okay.
They'll do heavy. But like, I'll say the worst of CrossFit would be something like, hey, just do a bunch of burpees, right? Just do like 100 burpees. And then when you're done, right? And that just sucks, right? Yeah. It's just not fun, right? Like sweating for the sake of sweating and hard for the sake of hard is not necessarily good when it comes to weight loss. Are you burning a crap ton of calories if you did 100 burpees? Of course you are. Is that worth the terribleness of that
misery?
And also the wear and tear on your joints? Is that worth the hunger that you have afterward because you just did 100 burpees and you're starving? Or the logical thing of like, I did 100 burpees today, I can have this donut, right? Not everybody is that, but again, exercise is exercise. I'm not going to diminish one type of exercise, but the idea that one is significantly better. And so another one that has become super popular is like, oh, walking on an incline. That's the key to fat loss.
Yeah, that was everywhere, all over social media for a long time.
It's like, oh, this is the key
I don't see
thing.
Anymore.
Or like, this is the Stairmaster workout. Like, no piece of cardio. Now, is walking on an incline going to work harder than walking flat? For sure it is. But that doesn't necessarily make it better, right? Because if you're working harder, right? Like, is this better for me than running? I don't know, right? Am I burning significantly more calories? Probably not.
And is it worth the misery? No.
Well, and again,
For
For
me,
some people,
or me.
personally, I would rather walk on an incline than go running because I hate running. Running is the kale of exercise, and I would rather walk on an incline.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd also rather do sprints than walk. Like, you pick the thing that you like,
Mm-hmm. So that you'd keep doing it.
so you do it, right? Like, and do the thing. Going back to the order of it, do the thing that you don't like before you do the thing that you like. Like, for
Mm-hmm.
me, there's a reason why I wait my arm workout for the very end of my workout, because the chances that I'm going to do Bulgarian split squats at the very end of my workout is 0. I'm leaving.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of want to do arms because despite having trained for a very long time, I do not have big arms and I have refused to give up the good fight. And so at some point I'm going to break through and I'm going to get to 15.5 inches on my arms. After years of training, I can't do it, but I'll do it. All right, so this is
ready.
Brings us into the last one when it comes to lifting here. And this one, it's still in my head from doing P90X. Lifting heavy weight for low reps gives you bulky muscle. Lifting lightweight for high reps gives you toned muscle.
This is exactly what I was told in high school.
I still remember Tony Horton saying it in P90X. 8 to 10 reps, size. 12 to 15 reps, tone. No.
Can you explain it to me? Because I lift heavy, waiting for my arms to get thin again, and they're just getting bigger. I'm jacked.
Well, so this is the thing that people, and so I use the word toned. There's nothing wrong with the word toned. And any fitness person who craps on the word toned, I want to punch you in the face, respectfully. I want to punch you in the face, right? You deserve it because you're being a jerk. You're being a jerk telling people that tone doesn't exist. You know what people freaking mean when they say toned. You don't have to be a jerk about it.
God, I love this, Jeff.
When we say tone, we all know what we're talking about. We all know what we're talking about, right? And what we really mean is, hey, I want to be lean, right? Not have a lot of body fat, but have some muscle underneath, right? I don't want to just be a stick. I want to have some muscle to show for it. When people say tone, lean, toned muscle, that's what they're looking for. It's like, hey, it's, for women, it's the people who are like, oh, I want the Carrie Underwood legs. Carrie Underwood has toned legs, or they want Jessica Alba arms, right? Jessica Alba has muscle on her arms, but she also doesn't have a lot of body fat, right? Correct. So that's what for men, they're talking about, hey, I want to be lean and toned. They're not talking about like, I want to look like The Rock, right? The Rock is jacked, right? They don't want to look like The Rock. They want to look like Matt Bomber, right? Who's like, hey, lean and toned, right? He's got an abs and he's got some muscle definition, but he's not like busting out of his shirt sort of thing.
Right. He's not Wolverine.
No. Well, and even Hugh Jackman walks around and you would call Hugh Jackman toned until he does on a regular day. If you saw Hugh Jackman in his show at Radio City Music Hall right now, you would be like, lean, he's toned. Like he's toned and maybe a little, you could call him ripped maybe. I'm going to blow my nose. Hang on. I tried to make it as long as I could.
Oh, poor guy.
All right, I made it as long as I could.
I'm proud of you. That was 43 minutes before you had to blow your nose.
That was a long time.
Very long time.
Do you see the red nose? Do I look a little bit like Rudolph?
I wasn't going to comment on it.
I mean, you can call me on it. It's fine. Not my fault. All right. So, what we're talking about when we're talking about lean muscle, right? Muscle is always lean. This is the thing we need to understand. Muscle is a bunch of fibers. And so when we lift weights, regardless of how many reps we do, right? If we get to the level of challenge where it's like your body goes, that was hard. When Amy just did that, I think Amy might do that hard thing again sometime. We should probably be stronger so that when Amy does that again, it doesn't feel so hard. So let's rebuild. Let's get a little stronger. And so Amy tears at the muscle fibers when she lifts weights. The muscles come back together a little bit stronger than they were before. And that's all that happens. And so when we get stronger, when we build muscle, muscle is always lean. It is different from fat. Like there is no bulky muscle versus lean muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Muscle is always lean muscle. It's just a matter of how much of it you have
Mm-hmm.
and how much your frame will support. And so somebody like The Rock, as a for instance, can support significantly more muscle than somebody like Zac Efron. Because Zac Efron is 5'8", 5'9", and doesn't have the bone density to have tons and tons of muscle on him.
Right.
And so we want to have a realistic thing that we're shooting for based on our bone density and our frame and our genetics, right? Some of this is just genetics. But if you want to have a lean, toned look, you need to have muscle, which will be lean no matter how many reps you do. And you need to have lower body fat. That's really what it comes down to. So if you want your arms to be smaller, women, because this is a sad thing that's just unfortunate, but I'm just going to tell you the truth. Women hold body fat. One of the last places they lose it is off their arms.
Cool.
It's just the way that it is. One of the first places that men lose body fat is off of their arms. That's where the dad bod, you can see a guy with like a little bit of a belly, but have arms that are like really kind of toned arms. And you're like, how does that happen? Right? And it's just where we tend to hold body fat a little bit more. It's just the nature of how our anatomy is pulled together. So if you want to, you can't spot reduce fat. That's another myth. You can't spot reduce fat. It can't be like, oh, I want to burn belly fat or I want to burn arm fat or back fat or whatever it is. No, your body, when you're in a deficit, you're going to lose fat and your body's going to get rid of it at the places that it feels it can first. Because remember, your body puts on, it stores excess fat in certain places. It's got a hierarchy of it. But it also is going to hold on to certain areas of fat for your protection. Like the last little bit that you're going to lose is off of your low back because it's protecting organs, and then your lower belly because it's protecting organs. Okay. So if you go, oh, I really want to lose this low back fat. It's like you have to get real, real lean in order to lose low back fat because your body's going to hold on to it to save your dang life.
Yeah. Your kidneys are back there.
Yes. So it's got to have it, right? It's for protection, but it's going to ditch it in the order. It's got a hierarchy, right? All right, we're going to get rid of it here first because that's the first place to go.
Boobs
right?
first. Always.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. That is true for a lot of people.
I know. I got real excited one time when I was actually gaining weight. I was like, look! And then I lost weight. I was like, damn it.
No, there they go.
Darn it.
There they go.
Immediate.
So... Now, the different ranges of reps that you do are going to impact the type of strength that you're getting within those things. It's more to do with your energy systems than it is to do with the type of muscle you're getting. So what most people, though, want to do is anywhere from 3, as low as 3, to 15 reps. Most peak time, anywhere 8 to 12, you're going to be enough time under tension that you're going to build some muscle, and you're not going to have to go so heavy that the risk reward, the form goes off, because that's usually what happens when you get down into the 3 reps is, one, you have to go really, really heavy in order for 3 reps to be hard. And secondly, if you're going really, really heavy, what probably happens is you're just like, hey, I'm going to try to just get this weight up.
Yeah.
And it tends to be a little bit harder for you to put it into the muscle and have the muscle actually tear and do the things that it's supposed to do. So under control and do that sort of a thing. Does that sort of make sense there?
It does, yeah.
Okay. We're going to blaze through this last little bit. I don't know how quick. I'm going to try to do this. All right. So here we go. We're transitioning back into nutrition, but here are the things. similar with the weightlifting thing. What has become a thing now, and I couldn't believe that this was a thing, but this has become the prevailing thought. And I actually said this. I did 2 truths and a lie about weight loss in a group yesterday. And I said this was one of the things, and people thought that this was the truth. It's not your damn cortisol. Okay? It's not. I don't care what 22-year-old on Instagram is telling you about how they fixed their cortisol with their super secret shake theorem, and now they lost all of their body fat and their face is thin. No, they didn't. Cortisol is a symptom. It's not the problem. If you have a lot of cortisol in your body, you know what that means? It means you're freaking stressed all the time.
Mm-hmm. That's the
And if
stress
you're
hormone.
stressed all the time, what are you not doing? Oh, I'm probably not making great nutrition or exercise decisions because I'm in a fight, flight, or fetal mode.
And you're not sleeping because the stress is keeping you
You're
up.
not sleeping, and so then all of that it's a symptom. Cortisol is your body's hormone in response to stress. And so if you are stressed all the damn time, you're going to have a hard time losing weight. Not because the cortisol is causing you to retain water, which it does, right? We've talked about this. Cortisol does cause you to retain water, but it's not causing you to retain fat. It's causing you to retain water.
And is that like because cavemen times, if you were in stressful situations, your body wanted to hold on to that?
Yeah, safety. I can't, like, if a bear's coming at me, I need cortisol, adrenaline. I got to hold on to everything. Your body's not going to release fluid when a bear comes.
I mean, it might, but...
I mean, you might pee a little bit, but it's like, your body's like, hey, we got to hold on. We got to hold on to everything because we're in safety mode. Okay? You're in safety mode. So you're holding on to weight. Yes, you're holding on to weight, but you're not holding on to fat, which is a different thing. The reason you're holding on to fat when your cortisol is high is because if your cortisol is high, that means your stress is high. And if your stress is high, that means you're probably eating out of stress or you're not making great nutritional decisions. And if you don't make nutritional decisions that are great and you're eating out of stress, what are you not in?
Calorie deficit.
And if you're not in a calorie deficit, you can't lose fat. So you want to know what the things that they're peddling on the internet are to fix your cortisol? It's a freaking laxative. It's just a laxative. That's all that it is. And you know who people actually who fix their cortisol, you know what they did? They probably managed their stress a little bit.
Yeah.
That's what it is. You manage your stress a little bit. And you know what they probably started doing? They probably started exercising because that's a de-stressor. They probably started eating better because that probably made them feel a little bit better. And then their stress was reduced. So number one thing you can do to help yourself eat better and stay in a calorie deficit, manage your damn stress. So you're not stress eating. Because low-hanging fruit, that's probably it. You're probably making the wrong decisions there. So, and people have taken that one step further, which is working out too hard is causing your cortisol to spike, and therefore you can't lose weight. So you're working out too hard for you to lose weight.
That one's a head scratcher because that's like on a surface doesn't make any sense. You don't even have to dig.
No, but people will buy into it because they think, right? Because we're so desperate for a solution. And it's like, oh, I must be working out too hard. It's the same thing as a starvation mode. Oh, I'm just not eating enough. That's the problem. I'm working out too hard. That's the problem. And no. Now, if you're working out too hard and you're not recovering properly, because you're training too hard and you're not recovering properly and you're hungry all the time and then you're not sleeping well, then yes, that's going to impact your ability to make what? Good food decisions. Or train properly hard or do your steps throughout the day. Because if I go to the gym and I kill myself for an hour and then I come home and I sit on the couch and I end up with 3,000 steps for the day, I'm probably going to have a harder time getting in a calorie deficit.
Yes.
So maybe don't kill yourself in the gym all the time so that you can move the rest of the day. Because 1 hour in the gym is not going to do it. I don't know how we're going to do this. What's your hard stop? So I make sure that I don't go over the top.
I'll have John pick up Emerson.
Well,
So
all right.
It's 5 minutes.
Now, 5 minutes. I'm going to try to go quick. Here we go. Similarly, right? It's your hormones. If you can name for me one hormone besides cortisol that is responsible for fat retention, then you can talk to me about it.
I cannot.
No, you can't. And neither can any of the Instagram influencers out there peddling their dumb supplements. Okay? You may actually have a hormone issue. That's entirely possible. You got the thyroid issue, all of these things that could cause you to retain some weight. And this is where we're talking about. Okay. One, are we retaining weight or retaining fat? Potentially retaining weight for the most part, balloons everywhere, right? But what it can do if your hormones are genuinely off and you get a panel and you have a doctor who actually knows how to read a panel, if your hormones are genuinely off, the same laws of thermodynamics apply. The only thing that's different is your maintenance calories might be lower than you would expect them to be for somebody of your size. And that's where people who are like, oh, I'm hit menopause, my hormones are all jacked up and all of these things. And it's possible, right, that your hormones are jacked up and you actually have your metabolism reduced. It's not dramatically just like automatically reduced. Oh, you hit 40 and my metabolism went to crap. It's like, no, you hit 40 and you stopped moving. Most likely. But it is possible that, hey, I'm not burning as many calories as somebody for my activity level and my size should be burning. And that could be a hormone issue. I have clients who have been through that where I'm like, man, it feels like we got to go lower than we ought to go here. But sometimes it's just a necessary thing. But it comes down to what those hormones are. But generally speaking, until you have been consistently in an actual calorie deficit for a period of time and not seen any weight loss come off, and you're actually in a calorie deficit, not in the 1,200 calorie version of it, right? And you're sure, then you can go look at your hormones. But for the most part, it's not what's getting in the way. Same thing with your insulin, right? People are like, you spiked your insulin. And so that's, now it's your body holds on to, no, my friends, no. Insulin spikes happen all the time. It's your body's supposed to do it. If your body doesn't naturally spike its insulin, then you have a form of diabetes, which you need to manage. Okay? Your body should spike its insulin. That's not a problem. It's a problem if it doesn't. It's a problem if it doesn't. So I'm not going to go too deep into that one because I can't, because I'll get angry. Okay? But
Angrier,
yes. Yes, just can't do it. Sorry, I need to do a quick thing. All right, we're back. All right, here we go. So I already talked about all the weight loss supplements. You don't need a supplement. Just eat a calorie deficit. All right, here we go. Blazing through the last few here. I think we're going to be able to do this in like 3 minutes. Okay?
Cool.
All right. The following things do not make you fat.
Ready.
Fruit. Fruit does not make you fat. As Nate Bargatze would say, let me meet your fat fruit friends.
Love him. I love him so much.
Nobody in the history of ever got fat because they ate too many strawberries. Nope. Sugar, that's where the logic is. Too much sugar in fruit. Sugar doesn't make you fat. It doesn't. You could actually lose weight, believe it or not, eating only donuts. You would feel like crap. You would be hungry all the time. But if you were in a calorie deficit, you'd lose weight.
It's weird.
You would be able to eat 2 donuts a day. And so at some point you would claw your own eyes out, but you could do it.
It seems to be that that's the answer to every one of these.
It is.
It's weird.
Because physics.
Did you plan it that way?
Because math.
Yeah.
Veggies are not good for you.
Who,
Paul
who said
Saladino.
that?
There are a lot of people who
Idiot.
say that because it's because of the defense mechanisms and chemicals surrounding your vegetables, because they are not meant to be eaten. They are meant, like, they are fighting back
Why are they
against you.
delicious?
You want to know what those kind of things that we're talking about are? It's fiber.
Yeah.
Fiber's actually good for you.
It's real good for you.
It actually makes it so you can actually take a poop.
Yeah.
Which is
Are
an
these the
important
same
thing
people,
to
though,
do.
who eat butter? They're the
Yes.
carnivores, and they just like,
Yes.
a stick of butter is what it...
Yes.
Blech.
100%.
Can you
Meat is bad for
imagine?
you. No. Meat is
No.
not bad for you. Meat is not bad for you.
No.
Meat is perfectly fine. If you don't want to eat meat, that's fine.
That's fine.
If you want to... Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you don't want to eat meat, you're going to have a lot harder time.
Yeah, because it's easier to get protein in your system if you're eating
And
meat.
also, the things that you... So, like, again, when we go into... Hey, be in a calorie deficit, eat as much food as you can for as few calories. In order to get protein, and you're not eating pure protein sources, which is mostly coming from something that had eyes, right? You're going to have to get a lot of other calories with it, right? If you get the, like, fake eggs, right, it's going to be, it's going to be a bunch of stuff that you've never heard of before.
Right.
Okay? And it's also going to have a lot of other additions to it in order to make it seem like eggs when it's not eggs. All right. So it's going to be more processed. Now, more processed does not necessarily mean bad for you, right? Everything is made up of chemicals, right? Anybody who goes to the grocery store telling you, yeah, this is the best example. I saw this just before this as I was prepping for this. Dihydrogenate monoxide. You want to know what that is? H2O, which is water. Everything is a freaking chemical. You're made up of chemicals. Everything is chemicals. Everything has chemicals in it. That's part of what makes it exist.
My lunch had a lot of sodium chloride in it, so I'm having to drink a lot of H2O to feel like a normal human again.
Okay, so all of this is important for us to navigate, where we recognize that everything has chemicals in it. The thing that can be helpful when you're trying to eat in a calorie deficit, like we talked about, and or eat healthier, and the last thing we'll talk about is what does healthy mean, right? But when we're trying to eat healthier, is finding things that are less processed, which means fewer steps from how they exist in nature to how they enter your body, right? So even like chicken, let's just say chicken. Let's just say that I had a chicken in my backyard and I went outside and I cut out a breast, and you know what I mean? And this was a magical chicken that I didn't have to kill it. I could just cut a breast off and there it is. Good. And I bring it in. Cutting it off, that's a process. Cooking it, that's a process, right? We all, like, there's very few things that we just find in nature and we eat. Like, I pluck the strawberry off the tree and I eat it, right? There it is. Good, right? That was but the eating it is the process. But how many steps is there from how it's found to where it is? And the more stuff that we find that is less processed, there are fewer steps between it and my mouth, the less additional calories are going to exist in it because there's less processing. And also the less kind of confounding components to it. Does that mean the things that are more processed are inherently bad for you? No. Are they going to make it a little bit harder for you to be in a calorie deficit? Of course they are. Of course they are. But that's because in the processing, we always add calories. Almost always. Okay? So this comes down to the, like, what is healthier, right? Brown rice versus white rice, sweet potatoes versus white potatoes, right? It's the same thing, right? They both have benefits and they both have things that maybe the other one has that they don't have, right? Doesn't matter. Pick the one that you like and eat it. Doesn't matter. I like sweet potatoes more, so I eat more sweet potatoes. Megan likes regular potatoes more, so we end up eating, because we do what my wife says, and so we end up eating more regular potatoes, right? But it doesn't really matter. Just pick one. Organic is not healthier for you. It's not. Because when we talk about healthier, this is where people get messed up, right? What is healthier? And I love my mother dearly, and I've told this story, I think, before, but I went over to her place. We went over to her place. I think it was for Father's Day or something like that. And she made Did I tell this story about the
You
French
did.
toast bake?
Yeah.
Right on a recent episode?
Dozen eggs.
Dozen eggs. Okay. Just because some of the ingredients are less processed doesn't make the thing healthy. And just because some of the ingredients are more processed doesn't make it unhealthy. Okay? Healthy is usually, are you an appropriate, and this, like, why do I always talk about weight loss? Because most people would dramatically improve their health markers first by losing a little bit of body fat. It's just what would happen. Like, what would happen to all of these things? And then the behavior-wise, it would make it easier for you to do all of the other things that you need to do to be healthy. Walk, strength train, cardio, eat more whole, less processed foods, have good relationships, sleep more, manage your stress. All of these things are part of losing weight and a byproduct of losing weight. So when we talk about healthier, it's not an objective thing. It's relative to the goal. And for most people, we could stand to maybe lose a little bit of body fat to be a little bit healthier and or put on a little bit of muscle. Both of those things. And so eat more protein, eat more fiber, eat more whole, less processed foods, manage your stress, get more sleep, strength train, walk, do cardio, all the dang things that we talk about all the time. It is simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And anybody who tries to complicate it is selling you something that you don't need. So, as I promised I would, weight loss cheat sheet. Everything you need to know on one sheet of paper. It's basically those things that I just said. You're not going to hear anything new from that sheet, but if you want it, you can have it. Just DM me cheat sheet and I'll send it your way. All right. If you have more things that you're not sure about, whether they're true or not, send me a message. Would love to answer them. Maybe we'll do a part 2 to this episode. But those are the ones that were top of mind for me. Hopefully this was valuable for you.
I enjoyed this one a lot.
Oh, good. I'm glad. All right, gang. Have yourselves a lovely day. We will talk to you soon.